Hello friends, welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am your host, Tom Downey, here with a look at a little list here of the highest paid Cowboys in 2019. Now, we are kind of in the doldrums of the NFL offseason. There are no moves really going on, and we're not really in the preseason yet, so it's a good time to take a look at who are the highest paid Cowboys for this upcoming season. Now, make note, this list is based on the 2019 cap hit, not their average salaries. We're in the 2019 season, so I figured cap hit was a little bit more appropriate. We'll start at 15, go all the way down to number 1. At number 15 is actually Jeff Heath. Now, I know you see, oh my God, he's the 15th highest paid Cowboy, but then you see the cap hit, it's less than $3 million. That's 41st in the NFL among safeties. That's pretty cheap for a safety, especially one who, yes, he's not a premier starter or even a number 1 starter, and probably isn't much of a number 2, but he's a high-end number 3. That's good value for Jeff Heath. So I know some of you guys want to cut Jeff Heath. I'm not on that bandwagon at all. This is pretty good value for at least a startable safety in the NFL. To number 14 we go. That is Jason Witten. Yeah, Witten came back out of retirement, and he's one of the top 15 highest paid Cowboys. A $4.25 million cap hit, which can get dropped back, and the Cowboys actually gain money in 2020 if he doesn't hit certain incentives, but that seems kind of unlikely. That's what they count against this year's cap hit. That's 18th in the NFL among tight ends. Witten's 37 years old. That has not stopped much of the OTA hype, but again, as I'll keep saying, it's OTAs. Let's not overreact. You can react to it, but let's not overreact. Number 13, another new Cowboy, although Witten's kind of a new-ish Cowboy. That's Randall Cobb, a $4.56 million cap hit. That's only 45th in the NFL among receivers for this upcoming season. Now, Cobb should replace Cole Beasley. Maybe the numbers aren't quite as good, which is a possible outcome. Maybe they're as good. Maybe they're even better somehow. Either way, Cobb is making less than Cole Beasley this year. I think that was a smart pickup there by the Dallas Cowboys. Number one thing you want to see from Cobb is you want to see him stay healthy. So rate his 2019 contract for me, that $4.56 million cap hit. Is Cobb overpaid, underpaid, or properly paid? Let me know in the comment section, O, U, and P there respectively. I'm going to go with P. I think that is about right for Randall Cobb. It's not too much money. It's not a wildly ridiculous steal. I think he's properly paid. Move then to number 12 on our list. That is Sean Lee. Now, I'll make notes here. He's 29th among NFL linebackers. That does include 3-4 outside linebackers. So there are players like Von Miller included in that list. It does include inside linebackers too, so that's kind of the nature of these. So maybe it's more like 25th, somewhere in that range. That's $6+ million cap hit. Again, he took a pay cut to stay with the Dallas Cowboys. He's going to start at is allegedly going to start at the strong side linebacker spot. I'm curious how he plays in a slightly different type of position. It's not the same as the Mike, the middle linebacker, the Will, the weak side there. Lee to take that pay cut there. I kind of thought it was a little bit on the high side, but you benefit by having Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch making so little. Neither of those guys make the top 15, by the way. Let's move to number 11, just outside the top 10. That is Allen Hurns. Now, he has a $6.25 million cap hit. That's 38th in the NFL among wide receivers. Now, the Cowboys can save $5 million by cutting him, which also makes him a possible pay cut candidate. That's too much money for Allen Hurns. In the best case scenario, isn't Hurns like your number 4 receiver? Because you want Cooper to have a great year, you want Gallup to have a great year, and you want Cobb to be good too. Maybe Austin doesn't make the team, and that's a legit possibility. I don't see any scenarios that make sense right now, and I'm not including injuries because that doesn't count, as to why you would want to pay your number 4 receiver that much money. That's not good roster management. So I will be very, very surprised if we get to week 1 of the NFL regular season and there are A, no injuries, and Allen Hurns is on the Cowboys roster at that price tag. Now, could he come in a little bit less and take a pay cut? Sure, I'm actually on board with that. But I don't think you want to have your 11th highest paid player on your roster be your number 4 receiver at best. Frankly, he might be more of your number 5 receiver. So that's where I sit for Allen Hurns. Of course, we've had the discussion before. Some of you don't like it. Is what it is. To number 10 then, Byron Jones. Now, he has a $6.27 million cap hit this coming season. That is 33rd in the NFL among cornerbacks. That's not even number 1 cornerback money. Folks, that is a steal. That is a great value for Byron Jones. Yes, he's coming off the hip surgery there. I'm not too worried at this point about that. He's in the last year of his rookie contract. That is some great value for Byron Jones, who I know isn't a true playmaker, doesn't make a ton of interceptions, but he had a pretty damn good year last year. So for Byron Jones at that price tag, that is some elite value. Number 9, yes, it is indeed Ezekiel Elliott at a $7.94 million cap. But again, cap hit, not average salary. That cap hit for this coming season, that's actually top 5 in the NFL among backs. Now, you see the difference there. Zeke versus Byron Jones. Byron's in his first year deal, or his first contract, so is Zeke Elliott. Byron's not even top 30. Zeke's top 5 at his position. That's why typically teams don't like spending high picks on backs, because with the way the contracts work in the NFL, you're not getting great value. The good news is Zeke's not bad value either at all, because he is easily one of the 5 best backs in the NFL. I'd argue the best back in the NFL at just under $8 million. That's not bad value for the Cowboys. Frankly, it's actually good value. To number 8, another new player, that is Robert Quinn. Remember, the Cowboys traded for him from the Miami Dolphins, and Quinn agreed to kind of restructure his deal. He brought it down from a $11+ million cap hit all the way down to 8. Now, among defensive ends, which again does include 4-3 defensive ends and does include 3-4 defensive ends like Cam Hayward of the Pittsburgh Steelers, that is 25th in the NFL. He only had 6.5 sacks last year, but again, I think in general, we overestimate how difficult it is to get sacks. Like, 7 sacks is really good production. It's very good production. It's not elite production, but it's reliable production. And Quinn, as a veteran, maybe it's a bit on the high side, but it's not a ridiculous overpay either for the Dallas Cowboys. Number 7, La'el Collins. Now, his cap hit is 3rd in the NFL among right tackles only at just under 9.93. Around it there, it's actually 9.925, but that's too many numbers for one, so 9.93 is the rounded figure there. Now, Collins enters the last year of his contract, and based on what the Cowboys have done so far in OTAs and, of course, in the draft, I feel that Collins' time in Dallas is kind of winding down. Now, could the Cowboys extend him? Sure, that's a possibility. But even regardless of his cap hit here, I kind of think the Cowboys might be looking to move on from Collins after this upcoming season. But what do you want the Cowboys to do? Type K for keep and D for dump him, let him leave in free agency, and then get that comp pick back in the next draft once he leaves in free agency. Collins, I think, is going to be better this year. I think the stability in terms of coaching is going to be huge for him. But he's got to play better because, frankly, he's not been a top 3 right tackle in the NFL. That makes it a little bit of an overpay for the Dallas Cowboys. Number 6, and this might be one of the worst contracts the Cowboys have. Not that there are very many right now on their roster. That is Tyrone Crawford, who carries a $10.1 million cap hit. That is 10th in the NFL among defensive tackles. Now, I'll list him at defensive tackle there. He plays both DT and defensive end, but I think DT makes more sense for this particular scenario because he'll play plenty there, of course, and when he signed the extension, he was more of a full-time defensive tackle. So Crawford, that's a lot, right? That's $10 million for a guy with 5.5 sacks and 4 tackles for loss last year. Now, Crawford does do the dirty things so well, but when the Cowboys made him one of the higher-paid DTs in the NFL and gave him that big contract extension, they thought they were going to get a top 10 defensive tackle. Even though I am pro Tyrone Crawford, I don't think he's a top 10 DT or defensive end or even just top 20 defensive lineman in the NFL. He's good, but I don't think he's at that level. So rate Tyrone Crawford's contract for me. Type O for overpaid, U for underpaid, and P if you think he is properly paid. He's certainly not underpaid. I don't think that's the case whatsoever. I lean more toward Crawford being overpaid. Now, again, I don't think Dallas dumps him this year, but I think after this season, regardless of what a great leader Crawford is and the dirty work he does so well for the Cowboys and the unheralded impact he has that doesn't show up in the stat sheet, I think after this season might make some more sense if you're the Cowboys to look into moving on from Crawford. To number 5, and some more bigger names that are certainly not underpaid here. That's Travis Frederick. Excuse me, I mixed up my names there. Travis Frederick. 10.98 cap hit this coming season. That is 2nd in the NFL among centers behind only Alex Mack. And when healthy, that's a no-brainer. Frederick is fantastic. Frankly, getting him under 11 is a steal. Of course, there is that little bit of nagging doubt, I'm sure, in many of our heads about him coming off of missing all of 2018 with the Guillain-Barré syndrome. I think he'll be fine, but it certainly bears watching. Number 4, believe it or not, is actually DeMarcus Lawrence, $11.1 million. Again, I'll make note, this is cap hit, not average salary. His average salary, as you know, well above 20, or a little bit above 20. But for this upcoming season, Lawrence's cap hit actually dropped significantly from what it was in 2018 and to what it was going to be this year if he played on the franchise tag. Lawrence is 16th in the NFL among defensive ends in cap hit. That's some good value right there. 10.5 sacks last year, 15 tackles for loss. There's no doubt for me, Lawrence is easily one of the top 5 defensive ends in the NFL. Now here's the Cowboys' overall defensive line cap rankings for the starters. I'll put starters in quotes there because Crawford and Woods and Collins Hill, even maybe Randy Grigg are all going to rotate there. Lawrence is 16th at defensive end. Quinn's 25th. Tyrone Crawford is 10th at DT. And then how about this value? Antwaun Woods, tied for 133rd in terms of cap. It's pretty much as low as it can go. Woods certainly is one of the most underpaid players on the Dallas Cowboys. Now, maybe you think Woods is the most. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Woods certainly qualifies there. In general, these are players that were signed as free agents, undrafted free agents, or still on their first contracts. The correct answer, though, even though no disrespect meant towards Antwaun Woods, is Dak Prescott. He's 43rd among quarterbacks this year in cap hit at just over $2 million. That is unbelievably good value for an NFL team. Let's move to number 3, Amari Cooper, a $13.92 million cap hit. That is 12th in the NFL among wide receivers. Now, this could change, could very well change once we get, towards the start of the season, if Cooper signs an extension. Now, that extension, assuming it does come, is going to be worth more per year than his 2019 cap hit. So maybe it goes up, maybe they find a way to bring it down. Probably not. But for the Cowboys, you're going to pay Cooper a lot of money. So in 2020, it's going to be a significant cap hit, I assume, for the Cowboys, for Cooper, and of course for Dak Prescott as well. Let's move then to number 2 on the list here. That is Zach Martin, who is the second highest cap hit in the NFL among offensive guards. Martin is no doubt one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL. Some would say best, and there's not a whole lot to argue as far as I'm concerned there. $14 million, that's $2 million less than Andrew Norwell. That's some pretty good value for the Cowboys. Yes, it's a lot of money, but you got to pay the best players in the NFL. Why wouldn't you want to pay Zach Martin? And at number 1, Tyron Smith. Yes, he has the highest cap hit of any Dallas Cowboy, but at $15.55 million, that's not even top 5 in the NFL among left tackles. Now, there has been some of you out there who want to move on from Tyron Smith, and I get it. There are injury problems there. He's only 28 years old. And with the way this contract is going, because he signed such a ridiculously team-friendly deal all those years ago, there's not much dead money left going forward. So they can find a way to bring that down if they need to, or they can move on if the injuries really start to pile up. But for Tyron Smith, one of the best left tackles in the NFL, to be 6th in the NFL is fantastic. That's behind a lot of notable players like Nate Solder, who is not as good as Tyron Smith, by the way. So here's the overall O-line cap hits for the Cowboys. I'll make note, its tackles are ranked together, guards are ranked together, and center is ranked by itself. So that's why you see 2 seconds up there with Zach Martin and Frederick. That's why Sewell is all the way down at 71st, and why Collins, who is 3rd among right tackles, is actually 19th among all tackles in the NFL. So rate Tyron Smith's contract. Type O for overpaid, U for under, and P for properly. I think we'll see a little bit more of an argument on this one than some of the other ones. I don't think he's overpaid. I don't see that argument whatsoever for the Cowboys. I would either argue he's either P, properly paid, or in reality, he might be underpaid. When Smith signed an extension all those years ago, that was heavily in favor of the Dallas Cowboys. That was a true team-friendly deal. You can make a strong argument that it's actually you for underpaid. All right, let's recap then. The highest paid Cowboys in 2019, again, 15 down to 1. Jeff Heath, under $3 million. Jason Witten, Randall Cobb, all under 5. Sean Lee at just over 6. Allen Hurns at number 11 at 6.25. Don't like that one. Then Byron Jones at number 10. Then a big jump. Zeke just under 8. Robert Quinn at 8, at number 8 overall. Funny enough there. La'el Collins at 9.93. Crawford at 10.10. That's a little on the high side. Travis Frederick leads off the top 5, just under 11. Tank just over 11. Then Amari Cooper at 3 at 13.92. Zach Martin at number 2. And Tyron Smith, the biggest cap hit of any Cowboy in 2019. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.